I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at insori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go on the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy merch.
The end of men. Let's do it. This does sound cool.
Yeah.
that was song 2. What was it? Something about the end of
The
men?
End of Men.
The end of
No,
men.
End of Men, not the. It's just End of Men.
Okay, how did you guys interpret this? Was this the same conversation in the dream world that she had before? Or is this something else but loosely related?
Oh, I thought it was the same thing.
For me, I
Oh,
feel
whoops,
like
I gotta keep these on. Ooh, what'd you say?
I feel like it's something that definitely continues the theme. It has that feel to it. And this kind of feels a little bit more like, instead of being visited by spirits in the dream, it's more the person sort of reasoning out the message in their head and considering what humanity's place is in this whole thing, and then feeling sort of a sense of disgust with humanity's place in this whole thing. So like they receive the message in the dream from the spirits, and then they move on, and then they're sort of processing that message. That's what it kind of feels like to me. But the way that it's written makes it really hard to actually, determine if that's the case. But it feels like that is the natural progression.
Is the point of art, really? If it was that spelled out. I had an artist hit me up one time, and he said, "You had a very interesting take on the song." And, we were going back and forth, and I said, "Well, how close was I?" And he said, "Well, I didn't write a book, I wrote a song."
Oh.
And he basically was saying, like, I'm not going to tell you because that's what it was for you, that's what it was.
Yeah.
And I thought that was probably a badass response. I was like, okay, respect to you. I was like, hey,
Neil, they've been blackpilled.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you're really good at finding meaning in something that's, I wouldn't say meaningless, but seemingly meaningless. There's been certain things like that, like years back I wrote, and then you'd be like, wow, and you'd like pull all this extra shit out of it, and I'd be like, yeah. That wasn't intended, but sure.
Well, actually,
you just gotta play it off. You're like, yeah, that's exactly what I meant.
Please, of course, my writing was 10 layers deep.
Okay, this is a little bit off. Okay, so Z, I want to get your actually. Ever since I heard this, you were one of the people I wanted to ask about this. So we've been doing a lot of studies on consciousness, and there's a couple scholarly articles. I'll send them to you after the show. But basically, some of these doctors were playing with the theory that the beings that you run into in your dreams are not just fragments of your subconscious, but that they are in themselves in the dreamscape, have their own ontology, sentience, whatever. Okay? So it's not the Freudian thing where it's like, you meet an axe murderer in your dream, but that's because you have suppressed rage because you wanted to murder your father or some shit like that. But whatever the beings that you run into in your dreams are their own person, beings, whatever.
Oh, I keep getting that mixed up.
So in universe of this song, this girl has this dream with the lions and all the rest of it. You could say, oh, that's just her subconscious talking to her. Or we could do it like you, which is the way that you set it up was she had this dream or this vision with these beings, and now the second song is her filtering the ramifications of what she heard into. You see what I'm saying? What's your thought on that?
When it comes to that particular theory of subconscious states and like the embodiment of what do they call it? Personification, I think, is what they call it. Personification of I've heard the theory before, but I've never actually read up on it, so I don't know any real specifics other than I've heard like some bits and pieces of it. But like what I was thinking of is more that the person who is visited in their dreams are whatever it is, if it's spirits or if it's just personification of complex thoughts. Either way, this is sort of like after it, in a way, almost like how sometimes you can have dreams in stages, where you can have like
that
happens to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can have one very rich and dense dream, and then there's like sort of an aftermath period where you're almost slightly awake, like half asleep, but you're still in the dream state and you're processing the thing that just happened.
Mm-hmm.
And like I've experienced that before, where I'm processing the previous dream in this weird like semi-conscious but dream state kind of way of processing it. And I'll even be thinking, man, that was a weird dream. And
Yeah.
it'll kind of lead into a dream of processing the previous dream.
What
And
did
that's
that,
what it kind of feels like to me with reading through this.
what did that guy call that? There's literally a technical term for when we were watching that thing, like the between waking and dreaming. I forgot the name of it. Oh, here it is. Hypnagogia is a transitional state of consciousness between wakefulness and sleep. Yeah. The opposite of
hypnagogic state.
Yeah.
And
okay.
Wayne Chamberlain says, I'm feeling a little frightened of this music. Am I in the right mindset for this? I guess that's up to you.
We don't know what state of mind you're in, buddy.
In a way, though, like music that inspires such like powerful emotion to me is like, I think that's a pretty amazing thing. I'm a pretty like I'm very emotionally sensitive, I guess, but you often can't see it. Like the way that I process things and the way that I act, I'm very even keel and I have a very steady state, but I kind of am processing a lot of things at the same time. And when I listen to music, it almost like breaks the barrier for me. Like where normally you'd see me be in a very level, steady state all the time.
Yeah.
Music kind of shatters that for me. And I feel almost like I can't maintain that steady state so much anymore when I listen to certain types of music really drag it out of me and make me much more emotional. And this album is definitely one of those that does it for me.
That makes a lot of sense, though, that this song is her in the hypnagogic state. Mm-hmm. Right?
Well,
this one was like straight up dream, and this one is kind of like... Because she's still in that world, because she still had that ethereal voice at some points, and then she had more of a regular voice, and then there was anger. So she was kind of in a twilight consciousness.
I guess I missed that she was in a dream in the first one. I don't remember even seeing that.
She said...
Yeah, she wakes in her bed in a forest. So she goes to sleep in a city with concrete walls and wakes from her bed in a forest.
I left my bed in a dream.
Yeah, I left my bed in a dream.
Oh, I didn't even
Found
know.
myself in the trees.
Oh.
Yeah. So the first song, she was in a
catch that.
dream. That's when she ran into all those spirit animals or whatnot.
Okay. All right.
And then the second one, and then this one is. I mean,
I still thought it was a conversation.
Way too analytical, but it is just interesting considering what we've been looking at. Like, it just appears that she was in a hypnagogic state here. I think you're spot on there, Z. I think that's where she was.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. I still think it's a conversation between her and them within that state.
Could be. I was thinking it was sort of, well, I was kind of extrapolating that it might be the processing of the previous conversation and sort of mulling it over in the mind and processing it and sort of being in conflict in a way, because you can see that there's two different voices in here.
Yes,
because it says like your death creeps around the corner, your corpse stinks of gluttony, and
Yeah.
then it's I see it all, the rise and fall in your eyes, the crying child inside, the one that died a long time ago.
Yeah.
And then there's we do not belong here, we are the scum of the earth, the fragile egos of men will come to an end. And so it's almost like a resolution in the end. There's the warring parts. There's one that's accusing, and the other that's sort of like looking at it and processing it, and then they kind of come to a conclusion together and make the decision. Yes, we are men. We're toxic to the earth. We're destroying it. We don't belong here. We're going to come to an end. That kind of
yeah. In the first song, there was multiple characters that approached her, and it seemed like one of them was speaking, or maybe like a certain. Like maybe multiple ones that were the same were speaking. But then this one seemed to me that it was actually like more of like a darker character of all of them. Perhaps one
like
that...
a duality.
Yeah, like where the other one seemed like it was like a little bit hopeful, like that there was a way, like if they don't change, it's going to go bad.
Right.
But then this one seemed like this was the character that was like, no, F you. You've been doing this for so long. You're going to pay. And then you could, and there seemed like there was a sort of resentment, like, obviously.
Definitely had that word there, resentment.
Yeah. When
Your
you say
corpse stinks of gluttony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I mean, okay. And then, anytime there's anything that talks about the crying child inside, the one that died a long time ago, that stuff always sort of makes me sad. Probably because maybe I'm still on the journey of reconciling myself to myself. And the idea that everybody kind of has to have that journey. Like there's things lost in your childhood just by nature of being around people that are sinful and you being a sinner yourself. So it's just like there's all kinds of stuff that we have to process through about, like, I guess sometimes I look at the kids and I don't think that our kids are disillusioned like maybe I was as a child. Like, for instance, I thought my parents were perfect. They had it together. They were the parents. Now I look back and I'm like, they didn't. They're just, shooting in the dark sometimes, just like everybody else. And I think, though, that when that happens, like, there can be a lot of fallout for people. And then you kind of have to, in your adult years, like, reconcile that. But
I've often called it the death of innocence, and it's sort of
right.
like it's not even a sudden thing. It's sort of a gradual chipping away of all the things that sort of make you naive and innocent.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily lose all of it ever, even by the time that you finally pass on. But there's just a constant sort of chipping away of your naivety.
Yeah.
And as you get more and more exposed to the reality, of humanity in the world, you become, in a way, desensitized to all the disappointments that, in your naivety, you are not expecting.
Mm-hmm.
And so I call it the death of innocence as a progressive thing, right? It's just, it never really ends. There are some who their innocence becomes more aggressively chipped away at a younger age.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some who end up having it happen at a much longer timeline. But everybody kind of deals with it. And so this kind of speaks to me that way as the crying child inside, the one that died a long time ago, is like the chipping away at the innocence from their perspective happened more aggressively at an earlier age than it does for some people. So like I think you and I have talked about this a bit, where I'm like very nihilistic. And even though it doesn't often manifest itself in the way that I conduct myself person to person, there's sort of like I have a very bleak outlook on life, but I also got a very rough start to life. And a lot of the people that I would have normally expected to rely on and depend on and trust ended up being unreliable, undependable, and untrustworthy. And so there were just a lot of defeating incidents in my life as a child and as a teen that made me lose faith in humanity. So by the time, before I was even an adult, I was already pretty jaded, I guess would be a good word for it, and didn't really have any faith in humanity. And it took me years of my adulthood to sort of kind of downplay the jadedness and maybe restore a little bit of my happy-go-lucky kind of self.
Yeah.
And so in a way, I've tried to, I guess, for lack of a better term, like nurture, or, well, I guess nurture isn't the right word, but restore the child inside, and revitalize it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I think
Nurse it back to health, maybe would be a good term.
I really think that, again, if you take the protagonist as a stand-in for all humanity, there's a lot of ways that, if you look at the vast majority of human history, the technology that we have and the things that we do is relatively new. So we were so much more innocent in regard to nature than we are now.
Yeah.
And so we've especially post-industrial humanity, we've lost something of our innocence with that as well, because then, and we constantly talk about this contrast between human beings advancing and, innovating and things of that nature, which is good, versus the horrible ramifications of clear cutting entire forests and all the rest of it to set up, industry and all that. And that's again, we all love and appreciate technology, but you lose something when you do that. Right now, Dorian is in. I didn't know this about the kid, but he's in love with winter and snow. So right now he's out with his brother in the woods.
They're reading a book.
11:30 with a lantern, but he wants to be in nature. He wants to be in the cold, and he's got his little lantern, and they're reading Attack on Titan or whatever in the woods somewhere. You see what I'm saying?
Nice.
And so imagine being a kid and then seeing that area just completely destroyed. Yeah. So that some ridiculous strip mall can be put up. You lose something.
Yeah, that's true. We spend a lot of time in the woods, and it always has bothered me seeing that. That's interesting.
You do lose that innocence. Like there's a show, The Wonder Years, and he had his first kiss in Harper's Woods. Right, so this guy Harper, he had these woods, and that's where he had his first kiss with Winnie Cooper and all that. And there's a horrific episode where Harper's Woods is about to get clear cut for this mall, and Winnie and Kevin decide to save Harper's Woods, so they tie themselves to these trees.
Oh God!
So that the bulldozer wouldn't happen or whatever, because they used to play hide and seek in those woods and everything.
Yeah.
And but long story short, it was because Wonder Years is a coming of age story, and long story short, their parents basically said, "Listen, this is the way that it is. Okay, it's 1965. We're innovating technology. It is what it is." And it was one of the worst episodes of it was. Now I look back, it was one of the best episodes ever on TV. But basically, long story short, they did one last hide and go seek in Harper's Woods, and then they allowed the contractors were like, "All right, kids, we'll let you have one more night in Harper's Woods."
That's sad.
And then after that, they just destroyed their their sanctuary.
Yeah.
And again, the kids they're right now reading Attack on Titan. They bought that from a mall. You see what I'm saying?
Books a million.
I get it. But part of growing up in the post-industrial age is losing that innocence. And that I don't care what you believe. We are connected to the earth. We are pretty much dirt and water. Even from a biblical perspective, you're dirt and water pretty much.
Right.
And when that's taken from you, even if you're the person that's doing the taking, you've lost your innocence. And then here in our country, we're dealing with it right now with the whole situation where nobody knows who to believe, and all the authority people, the people who are supposed to be authoritative and care about us and give us directions on how to navigate this horrible pandemic, now nobody trusts them. You know what I'm saying? It's like we've been politicized, and people are playing games with our lives. This is our lives you're talking about, and we were supposed to trust you guys, and now everybody, I saw, I'm going to bounce this back to you, Z. I saw a thing on Rising or whatever, basically you're on your own!
Jeez.
It's you're on your own, because we can't figure this shit out.
Wow.
Go ahead, Z.
Oh, yeah, just the whole, we don't even know how to pre-digest the information for you, so, figure it out yourselves, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Is that what we're talking about? Yeah. That's been that's been sort of a growing trend these days. There's been more and more people talking about just figure it out yourself, do your own research. Problem is, though, that there's not really a good, there's not a consistent way of educating people and raising them to clearly research things properly themselves and do it in a way that gets around confirmation bias. Almost everybody tailors their consumption to their to their biases, and so they look for the things that confirm their biases.
100%.
So we're stuck in this weird situation where the vast majority of the population doesn't know how to properly digest information and process it, and the people that we would normally trust to pre-digest it for us we can't trust.
Right.
Yeah.
There's lying.
Yeah, yeah.
Further black-pilled. It's all downhill from here.
Welcome, everyone. At least we got some good music for you bitches before the whole thing goes up in flames. All right, holy shit! I can't believe I remember that Harper. That was really depressing. It was really terrible.
Oh, that's sad.
I remember that episode too. I didn't see the whole thing. My mom enjoyed that show, and I do remember one where they were like chaining themselves to a tree.
Yeah.
And then they and the hide and seek thing. But I don't think I ever saw the complete episode.
Oh, it was such a gut punch.
Yeah.
It was such a gut punch, man. But this song brought it out. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I didn't know until I started having intimate conversations with you and then this channel, because a lot of the pagan bands are really big on emphasizing nature. I did not know. It's crazy. Being a New York kid, I did not know how important nature was to me.
Oh, yeah. You know what I was thinking? You've been having a hard time sleeping, and I thought, I wonder if you spend a day outside and then go to bed when it's bedtime.
That's what the doctor said. No bullshit.
Yeah.
She had this list.
You literally spend almost your entire day in your room. Yeah. It's not healthy.
She had this list of things.
Not your room, our
like,
room.
Outside?
Yeah.
Finn, go to your room.
Hey, it's happened. It's happened.
Just go.
Sounds like Vin needs to touch some grass.
Yeah. Well, there's no grass here. It's just snow. But still, you bundle up and you go out there and breathe that air for a couple hours.
She was explaining touch the grass to me. I'm trying to figure out all these. One day I'm going to use them all in like one sentence.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm a bad motherfucker.
Man, you should just.
What have you asked me? You've asked me
based
means
touch the grass. Yeah.
There was something else too. What was the other one?
There's been a I'll have to go through my text to see him. But
to let you guys know, Vin like every once in a while messages me something, like send me a text message asking me about some like online or gamer lingo, and so I then respond and give him like almost like a detailed breakdown, like, well, here's how it started, and this is how it evolved, and now this is what it means today.
Right? Yeah. But she knows me, so she knows that I want to hear all that shit. I don't want to just hear the definition. Damn it! I want to know how the shit progressed.
What is that? Etymology?
Give me the etymology.
Tell me the whole thing
of based, bitches. All right, what did you give this song?
8.9.
What about
for
you?
me? Yeah, I'm a bit lower on it, so I was gonna say 8.5.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a solid. My scoring system is closer to Z than you. I did at 8.6. I gave it an 8.6. So there you are, dear listener.